was pandemic a clause in these insurance contracts? At least now, I'm not sure before the outbreak of the pandemic. But do these insurance covers pandemic as a risk? Let's say something happens to the supply. Why I'm asking this question is recently, China is undergoing severe lockdowns, especially in Shanghai and Beijing. They keep having these rolling lockdowns due to their zero COVID policy. So if that is the case, say a supplier is unable to ship the product and unable to complete the consignment because of these movement restrictions. So what happens then? If the products don't leave the factory floor, or maybe it's stuck at the port, or maybe it's stuck at the ship, right? So can such risks also be covered by these insurance products?
By the standard ones, let me say, there's been a lot of debate in the courts, probably not by a standard property policy, because as I said at the start, I hope, or just to emphasize, it's a damage product, a property damage. So you have to actually show the insurer there's a damage at that supplier premises. Do you know what I mean? There's a flood or a fire. Without the damage under a standard property policy, generally, you can't claim, for the loss. It could be you'd got some negotiated extension for a pandemic, more exception, that's in exceptional circumstances. But what you tend to find, of course, when the insurance industry finds there's a really big risk there that's going to happen, protect their balance sheets, they start closing these clauses down. So what you've got now is what most of the big insurers have done in their standard policies is try to exclude any COVID related things, even more than they were excluded, if you know what I mean, to say, cut out the doubt, we will not cover you for COVID issues, full stop. Now, so that's a general point. There could be some specific policies, more specialist. So the things like a policy, which is, definitely a smaller product, but like a trade disruption insurance, they call it, where they have named perils, they call them, because you can have two types of policies almost under, in very simple terms, under insurance. You can have a kind of all risks policy, but then lots of exclusion policies. So we'll cover you for everything here, Sakti, apart from all these things we've named, which could be quite a long list, but at least it gives you kind of potentially COVID could be covered if we hadn't thought about it, and it caused a disruption of financial effect that we wanted to cover. Or named perils, where you almost have to agree with the insurer what you want to cover, and unless it's on that list of 4 items, you're not covered. And trade disruption is around, it's named peril, so it's more restricted, but at least you can look to negotiate and potentially bring in some covers on a specialist basis for geopolitical risks or port closures. And then you just need to be careful. So I'm sorry it isn't a simple world, as I said, but hopefully that gives the procurement people some insight into approaches and so on.